trending.
Here we are.
I get worried when I see somebody trending. Okay. I don't want Mace to die.
One of these
Viva.
days, I'm going to be trending, and it's going to be because I'm going to look at it and be like, oh, did I die? Am I dead? I find out about my own death from the trending topics on Twitter.
Well, I guess I would say if I die and I don't trend, what a wasted life. You got to trend if you die.
I would rather not. I would rather die in anonymity. And then maybe a small, like trending in like small parts of Philadelphia.
You have a Wikipedia page, right? Or like IMDb or whatever? Like if you died.
I have IMDb. I don't think I have a Wikipedia page.
Okay. Is there a death note on IMDb pages?
I think so.
You have profiles out there that are, do you like control your IMDb or do people put your own stuff in?
No, usually when they just like when they put the credits out, like either the WGA or the studio or like the production coordinator or something. If there's like a wrong credit, you can like, you know.
Are dead writers noted as dead on their IMDb's?
I think so.
Then you might be out of luck in your anonymous path.
But that'd be fine. But that's not like, hey, let's go through all of Mike's worst takes. Hey, this guy died. Yeah. Time to recount all the times he was wrong about the Sixers. And
I have an IMDb page, but I would like a Wikipedia page. So if I die, if a listener could create the Wikipedia page just to, I mean, I would love all of the information, but specifically so it can start off with the born and died.
Yeah. Date. Wikipedia, first section, this guy died.
Yep.
And
also liked the Sixers. That's I've said a bunch of times. It's sad.
I would dispute that.
All right. Let's do it. Viva Las Vegas. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is proudly presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook by using promo code RTRS, and brought to you by Body Bio. Get 20% off any Body Bio order. It's anything. You could order $1,000 of Body Bio stuff. Get 20% off with code FIRECJ. Mortgage CS. Become a Mortgage CS Ricky VIP by going to mortgagecs.com/Ricky, where you can get 20%. No, I'm just kidding. Not 20% off your mortgage. And Kinetic Skateboarding. Get 9.1% off your first order with code Dave Silver. On the show today, Bradley Beal looks like he's going to get traded, and Bill Simmons says that he's going to end up on the Sixers. Speaking of Bill Simmons, in just one of the most insufferable podcast appearances of all time that I was forced to fucking listen to for this show, Doc Rivers goes on Bill's podcast and speaks some bullshit and some truth. I have a firmer stance I would like to announce regarding James Harden, and the Nuggets win the title, and the Sixers hired 2 assistant coaches, and it's B-Ball Paul's 24th birthday. Happy birthday, B-Ball Paul. Kinetic Skateboarding, I was noticing on Twitter today, the sneaker announcements. There are sneakers you can get at Kinetic that you can't get anywhere else. This happens because they use cool shops like Kinetic, Nike does, Vans does, Converse does, to sort of sometimes to try out shoes first, so you get them there before anywhere else, or the low run, like the more rare ones, go to Kinetic. I suggest following Kinetic Skate on Twitter, Kinetic Skateboarding on Instagram, because that's where you see the announcements, whether they're doing a sale, raffle, or whatever. And while you're there at kineticskateboarding.com, your summer gear, t-shirts, shorts, sneakers, all that kind of stuff. If you happen to skateboard, that's great too. If you're old like me, you know you can't skate. You just poser, buy the gear. Kinetic Skateboarding. Use code Dave Silver for 9.1% off your first order. Without any further ado, Amos and the chef.
Larry, sweetie, the man is here.
Say the name. I say the name. I say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Welcome to the Rights Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy who has waived his full no trade clause in the hopes that please someone trade for him. That is Mike Levin.
Anybody at all.
We will get to the Bradley Beal rumors. A lot of Bradley Beal rumors.
You can't make me start on the doc.
I kind of wanted
you
to.
Can't. You have to. No, you gotta ease me in. You can't just fucking raw dog me with goddamn doc on Bill Simmons interview right now at the top. You gotta fucking give me a treat so I can then take my medicine.
Okay, so we're gonna start with Beal, or we're gonna start with Mike's
Beal
report.
Beal.
Okay, so before the reports came out today, this was on the Bill Simmons podcast.
My first pick is Bradley Beal.
Still Bill.
By the way, yes, exactly.
You got me anyway.
Yeah.
I picked door number 2, and guess what? It's the same as fucking door number 1.
They were talking about off-season storylines. I don't know. It was like an hour 20 into the podcast, but it's him and Russillo.
I think Winger is...
I want to be clear here, by the way. It's about 2 minutes, but it is edited. Like I took a whole Celtics section out. Like it's edited for length, not for content. The content is the same, but there are things in there that they discuss that are not in this clip.
Could edit it down all the way to nothing.
Bradley Beal. I think Winger is going to go into this Wizards job, and he's already had some interesting quotes. I don't think he wants to go 38-44 or 41-41 or 42-40 or 39-43 for the next 5 years. I think he wants a real plan, and it feels a little blow it uppy to me. And I think that's actually what they should do. They have the 7th pick. They have some assets. If your big three is Porzingis and Beal and Kyle Kuzma, I hate to break it to you, but there's not going to be a lot of long postseason runs in your future. And I think Bradley Beal, even though he has a no trade clause, is going to be traded this summer.
Man, it sounds like somebody's been doing some chatting on the phone.
Man, we almost could have led the pod with this, because now there's 2 directions we could go with Beal. Close to Jason Tatum. It's the Beal Jaylen Brown rumor has always been the rumor, but I don't know why you would trade Jaylen Brown, because the new CBA is.
I wouldn't trade Jaylen for Beal.
But my bet, the odds-on favorite, I would put them minus 200 would be Philadelphia. My odds-on favorite is Philadelphia, and I don't even think it's close. Beal and Embiid, they're friends. Embiid was trying to get him 2 years ago, which I kept telling people on this podcast. They ended up going with Harden instead. Embiid was pushing hard for Beal. Harden's going to leave. There's a lot of ways to go. And if you're Washington, and you and I we've had some off podcast arguments about what Beal's value actually is. But for the money that he's making, where it goes into the 50s pretty quickly, I don't think that's an asset in the second apron NBA. I don't see it. But if you're Philly and you're going to lose Harden, and now I have the shooter that's probably a better fit with Embiid anyway, and I have Tobias Harris and an expiring contract, a couple future draft picks I could probably throw that I could probably find in my pocket somewhere. And if you're Washington, it's like, you know what? We got out of the Beal contract. We have Harris as an expiring, and we're rebooting everything.
So then,
are you sure you edited that for length? Are you positive that you did?
Positive. Well, to be clear, when I edited it and when this came out, the reports today were not as in-depth as they were. Like that was a lot of the reporting today actually mimicked what Bill said there. So then Woj says that, of course, I love that everyone's agent is in the reports now and the agency. ESPN sources as rivals begin to reach out to the Wizards to explore the possibility of trading for All-Star guard Bradley Beal. President Michael Winger and Beal's agent Mark Bartelstein of Priority Sports are staying close in contact to discuss scenarios presented to the franchise. Brian Windhorst on ESPN said that people are going to be surprised at the price and potentially how low it's going to be because his, quote, contract is not attractive. He does have the only full no trade clause in the NBA, which is pretty hilarious. And it is a giant contract.
It's a huge contract. It's a huge contract.
I have my first question to you is...
Yeah, let's talk. There's a lot to discuss with
a lot
this
to
rumor.
discuss here.
And probably we should have talked about it as a possibility right when the Wizards got a new front office.
Right. But it's a long off season. So.
Long off season. We're going to space it out.
Yeah.
One episode is just going to be me sitting silently as the Bill Simmons podcast plays.
That'd be a great bit. Don't give me any ideas. So, I mean, today's pod is almost that.
I am fully aware.
Yeah. So and it was funny when I'll tell that story when the doc one comes out. So, okay, the first thing is, are we sure it is Beal instead of Harden, or is there a world in which it is Beal and Harden?
Oh.
And is that Beal, Harden, and Embiid the most talent and loser energy combination ever in the history of the NBA?
I think that would be. I
don't think?
I don't think so.
Okay.
And maybe there's a possibility, and maybe that's worth talking about. But that seems like such a, game theory.
Yes.
Play this out several chess pieces down the road situation. But let's assume that it's, should the Sixers, if Harden is to walk, should the Sixers trade Tobias and something?
They can trade 1 first-round pick. They can trade up to 3 swaps. They can't trade the first-round pick per Sixers Adam until the league year starts. So,
yeah, but you could always do the thing in the...
Yeah, they can trade... Well, I mean, league year is next week, but
right.
Yeah. So
you can once that happens, the trade can be agreed to in principle, and they won't actually file the paperwork until then. You can offer more trades. But because of how bad because of how large Beal's contract is, he has a $57 million player option, which would be in his age 33 season.
Which, by the way, is younger than James Harden.
Right. And I think that's important to note.
Yeah, he's 29 now, Beal. I would like to say...
He turns 30 in like 2 weeks. Yeah.
I would like to say that I think somehow... First of all, I don't think that trade that everyone's talking about gets Bradley Beal, because there will be somebody who'll be willing to throw 2 first-round picks or 2 picks in a swap or something like that, whether it's the Knicks or the Lakers. I don't know what the Lakers can trade, something. Somehow in this conversation, Bradley Beal, I think, has gotten a little underrated.
Well, that's the interesting part is, and I think Beal's an interesting case. And over the last 10, 15 years, one of the things that I've always been the most interested in is guys that are the best players on their team, but are clearly not good enough to be the top of the top 10, 15 best players in the league. Although there was a time maybe a few years ago when Beal was like scraping the surface of the top 15 or whatever.
Yeah, when he was scoring like 32 points a game.
Yeah. How are those guys valued? And then you get into this part of their life when they're like, late 20s, early 30s. They're being paid a full max contract.
Mm-hmm.
And it becomes, okay, yeah, that's definitely an overpay, but he still is good. And then that's the like middle ground of like, generally I avoid these kinds of players. Part of the Sixers trading for Tobias when he was an expiring contract, knowing that you had to sign him to a big fat deal, was a mistake in a similar way to the Wizards holding on to Beal, signing him to this big fat contract, and then going like immediately after we sign this player, they are now like one of the worst contracts in the league. Tobias was, Beal is, John Wall, Tyler Hero, maybe Jordan Poole, maybe like guys that you're like, that's a lot of money for that guy all of a sudden, immediately after. It's like the conversation of, do we let this guy walk and we get nothing, or do we sign him do we basically overpay him for not one of the top 10, 15 players in the league, even though Brad Beal is certainly being paid like he is? And
by the way, I'm not saying that your goal is to have a player that is paid a lot more than he's worth, but there are teams in the NBA that win championships with players on them that happen to fit what they need at the time, who they paid or had to pay or whatever. It doesn't make it, you have to be better than Tobias Harris is, I think. But I think there's a world in which a player with an outsized contract can provide enough value to a specific team at a specific time to make them worth it, even if we're talking about, dollars to dollars are not worth that much.
Yeah,
right?
we're talking about we're leading with the contract, which is kind of a bummer, but generally how things go these days because it's fun to pretend we're GMs and think about like what you need to trade for and how you can assemble your team and all that stuff. We'll talk about the player in a second. But as a contract, the other thing that you're concerned about is the Sixers are going to have to pay Tyrese Maxey a lot of money pretty soon. And with the new salary cap rules and the restrictions that would come with the Sixers were they to cross the second apron, if there's the Embiid contract, which is huge, the Maxey contract, which will be big, but not as big as obviously Beal's or Embiid's. You start to get, how are we going to fill this team out if we're already paying so much money to those other guys? So that's a concern. Money is a concern. It's a lot of money for a guy
It's hurt a lot.
Who's hurt a lot also into his 57 million when he's 33 is a fuckload of money. Who knows about the new TV deal at that point? There's a lot of like speculating and stuff, but it's a lot of money for a lot of years for a guy that, let's talk about the player, hasn't been that good the last couple of years. He's obviously not bad. He's carrying a large load for a bad Wizards team. And the bet that you're making basically is, if you were to acquire him, if you're making the case to acquire Brad Beal, is the last 2 years when the Wizards have been relatively pointless, is he just coasting and there's more in the tank, or has he gotten
Worse.
significantly worse as his body has deteriorated a little bit?
I mentioned to you earlier, I feel like I haven't truly watched Brad Beal in 2 years, to be honest with you. Like, we've seen him play, but the team has been so irrelevant, and his appearances in the games between injury and health and safety protocols, I feel like he's not playing or whatever it is. He did shoot 50% and 36% from three. He does have I do believe in him as a shooter, regardless of his shooting percentage. He's got a pretty shot. He's a good shooter.
Yeah, definitely pretty shot, good shooter, movement shooter, has ability off the dribble, it's a really tough shot maker. And on a bad team, he has had to take and make difficult shots. So you look at his first 6 years in the league after he was drafted. I think he was drafted third overall out of Florida. His first 6 years in the league, he is the number 2 to John Wall, who is still at that point very, very good.
That was a fun team.
A very fun team. They never quite had enough right pieces around them. But when John Wall was orchestrating everything and Brad Beal was doing more shooting off the catch, shooting off movement, less onus on him to do everything.
Hate onus.
First 6 years in the league, he shot 39.3% from three. He averaged just 3.6 assists per game for a 16.6% assist rate and a usage rate of 25. That's the first 6 years in the league. His last 5 years, basically when John Wall got hurt and wasn't around and then got traded and blah, blah, blah. Last 5 years in the league, down from 39.3 to 34.7% from three. His assist rate has gone up significantly. Now he averages 5.6 assists per game in the time, and his usage rate is 31%. He's not a number one guy. He is a number 2 guy that has, on a bad team, had to do number 1 guy stuff.
Can I ask you?
One more thing.
Okay.
One more thing. Let me think.
Go. Sorry.
But the free throws per game, in addition to all the responsibilities, went from 3.7 per game in those first 6 years to now 6.2 per game in the last 5 years. The case for Bradley Beal on the Sixers would be he can do some creation, some run the offense through me, but also when Embiid or Maxey is out there, he can get a lot of those movement shooting. He's a pretty good cutter when he's allowed to work off ball. So you can combine the optimistic case is you can combine the best versions of those. Shooting in the high 30s on volume, creating, getting to the rim, getting fouled, some distribution, but not so much that he's wearing himself down. And it's important to say he wasn't a liability defensively at any point really in his career, but the last couple of years he's really stopped giving a fuck on that end. And so you can hope that if there's less responsibility on one end, he's playing for a good team now. He's the number 2. He's the Jamal Murray to Embiid's Jokic, whatever. Like that becomes something where he's capable on that end. And that's the bet you'd be making if you think, hey, we think Brad Beal can be one of the best number 2 options in the league, where we have a point guard in Maxey who is going to take more responsibility on ball, more creation ability, but not going all the way to, okay, you have to be James Harden now. Brad Beal can help him carry that load, and he'll get so many more open threes playing off Embiid and Maxey than he had really since he played alongside John Wall, a good John Wall in Washington. So that's the case for it. I think it's reasonable to be optimistic for that, but the age and the contract are extremely, extremely scary. Sorry.
Well, the age. Okay, I'll talk about the age in a second. Speaking of health and age, Body Bio. Come on, Body Bio. Go to bodybio.com right now. Put Elite in the cart. Put Gut Plus in the cart. Use code FIRECJ, all one word, FIRECJ for 20% off. I love Elite. Keeps me hydrated. I drink it straight now. As Mike from Body Bio says, I mainline it. What Elite is, it is straight electrolytes. No artificial flavors, no artificial colors, no sugar, no anything. It's just the electrolytes, which you need with water to be properly hydrated. It's not just water. So what you're supposed to do is take a little cap of it, put it in your drink in the morning, put it in your drink at night. It got rid of my cramps in my legs. I used to cramp up all the time in my feet and my legs. Now, instead of putting it in the water, I take off the cap, I drink it straight. It's really salty, but it works. It solved my problem.
I did do that once. I didn't like it. Usually I put it in water.
Yeah, it is an acquired taste, I would say. And then Gut Plus, I want to tell you about Gut Plus very quickly. If you're going to take one gut supplement, forget about the probiotic you're taking. What Gut Plus will do, probiotics, your body makes them. Your body makes probiotics. But what Gut Plus does, prebiotic and postbiotic, what it does is it goes in, gets rid of the bad bacteria, allows your body to produce the proper probiotics, the proper bacteria, and then helps get rid of all of those little symptoms you don't like, the bloat, the irregularity, all those sorts of things. It's a good product. It's a really good fucking product. Take a couple of them every day. Safe, healthy. The probiotic you're taking probably doesn't do anything, to be quite honest with you, unless it's matched perfectly for your body, which it's probably not. 1 pill a day, maybe 2. Gut Plus. Go to bodybio.com. Use code FIRECJ for 20% off. Body Bio. Okay, age. He's 29. This contract,
he turns 30 in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Just to.
I would say 3 of these years are in his prime.
Sure, that's fair.
I'm not too. The real question is like, is he on? When a lot of players, by the way, their prime now. The DeRozan is an example. Butler is an example. There's a lot of Chris Paul is now at 38. Still remarkably effective. Being a really effective, really good player through your early 30s is not crazy to think. Now, you would have to be saying, you would, 1, have to say, look, he's just not worth the price. 2, he's hurt too much. And 3, I actually believe he's on the downside of his career.
Yeah.
But look, I don't know. I haven't watched enough, and we're going to have, not tonight, but we're going to have Sharp on, who watches him a lot. I haven't watched enough to know if he's just like, has been there too long, doesn't care anymore, and needs to go somewhere good. And
that's definitely at least part of it.
Yep.
He's definitely playing like bullshit basketball for a team
that doesn't matter.
We've been saying all offseason and for years before that, although it's crystallized this offseason, that Joel Embiid, who is apparently good friends with Bradley Beal,
which seems weird.
Which seems a little weird. It's through their friendship with Drew Hanlon, who we've always loved.
Yep.
They're both Hanlon clients, and
I like Drew Hanlon. You like a Drew.
We've never had an issue with him.
Yeah,
he did block me on Twitter.
He was getting a lot of hate during the Fultz thing,
and that's fine.
Yeah.
But if Embiid needs a guy that's gonna fucking rev his engine and get him to psych, like Brad Beal's he's not Harden, but he's also not he's not Jimmy, so if he's capable of looking, I wouldn't say this bad, like he's playing like horrendous basketball, but certainly relatively checked out for a team that doesn't matter. how much flip the switch is there to his game that he will actually like, okay, I'm out of the wilderness. I'm going to start taking it seriously. And if the Sixers, really anyone, were to acquire a guy like that at that number for that long, you would have to be confident that he was going to try harder, which is a weird thing to ask before you trade for someone. Hey, you're going to be like, you'll give more of a fuck, right?
It was a long time ago, for sure. But Brad Beal was a good playoff player. And that Washington team with Wall, like they had like some wars there. Like the 2015 Eastern Conference semis, which they lost, 25 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists.
Is that the funeral series with the Celtics?
Yes. No, that was the one they lost to Atlanta. Funeral series was 2017.
Okay.
24 points, 3 boards, 3 assists. Against Atlanta in 2017, 26 points, 4 boards, 2 assists. He played 40 minutes a game in the playoffs. You know, like, I don't know. I don't know what the other options are. The only other thing I would throw at you is that I think it's possible if they get Beal and they have to sign a point guard somewhere. There has to be a real point guard somewhere.
I wouldn't mind signing a backup point guard, but Maxey would be the point guard and Beal would do some creation. Like that is a pretty standard, like tailor-made. You are going into like 1972 and going like, point guard is this tall, shooting guard is this tall. These are their roles. Do it. And Beal has demonstrated an ability to create and create for others. And
but Maxey hasn't really.
Yeah, but it would be like we are through our powers combined, we are replacing what Harden would give you. I don't think that there's a world where you go Maxey, Beal, and a point guard is like your starting lineup in any way.
Well, would you do it?
If it's for Tobias, a first and like a pick swap, I would certainly consider it. I'm higher on Beal and the possibility that him playing on a better team, him having less responsibility than he's had since John Wall left or got hurt and then left. I would absolutely consider it. I think people are a little too low on how good he was and is capable of being, and how nicely he just slots right in to Embiid takes some more distribution responsibility. Beal takes some. Maxey takes some. There's no like, if he's trying, no real defensive liability there. He's a tough shot maker. You can give him the ball, get a decent look at everything. Like, I think it would make a lot of sense, like almost too much sense. The contract is scary, and you'd worry about what it looks like down the road. But Kyle Neubeck is reporting that sources, you know, speaking on the condition of anonymity. I love speaking on the condition of anonymity. My condition? Anonymity. At all times.
Yeah, I'm going to talk to you. I have one condition, though.
Yeah, it's a kind of a weird condition. You don't know who I am, and I am sort of hiding behind a Catholic pew. No, not the pew. What's the confessional? My face is sort of hidden behind this little grate. But Kyle has said they're not pursuing him. And if you think of Daryl as the kind of like analytical type guy, the advanced stats have never loved Bradley Beal as a player. His highest career VORP, which is value over replacement player. I know Spike, you're a big VORP guy, is 3.7 in 2018-19. James Harden's was 4.0 last year. And all 8 of Harden's career years in Houston were significantly higher than that. His highest career VORP is like 9.
Uses VORP.
No, it doesn't. But it's like there's some guys that you can tell like Covington is a good you know, when he was good was like an analytical darling and stuff. And there's guys around the league, especially role players. Beal is a like predominantly shooting heavy, like that's kind of all he does. Most of what he does stuff. There's some creation, there's some rebounding, there's some athleticism. He sometimes tries on the defensive end. He sometimes gets to the line. He's not like crazy efficient, but the hope is that you can combine the first 5 or 6 years of his career, first half of his career with the second half of his career. Like the good parts of when he was playing off ball and shooting so well and playing off of a better player that commanded a lot of attention. And the second part of his career, which is like he can help create, he can pass, he can run pick and roll, he can make some stuff happen, he can get to the line. And you find a happy medium of, I'm now one of the best number 2s in the league. I'm doing what Jamal Murray is doing in Denver, that kind of thing. And he could be really helpful. But yeah, I mean, I certainly wouldn't trade like everything for him. Like the contract is yeah, but my everything is Jaden Springer. The contract really is like, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. And the Sixers don't have many more cards to play. And this would really like make them like, this is all we got. The cards are out. But the interesting thing is that we haven't brought up, we talked about the trade that he doesn't have he has a no trade clause. So it really is up to Brad. It really, really, really is up to Brad. I think once this report comes out, you tell me if you disagree, but once this report comes out, he's gone. He's not going to play for the Wizards next season. He's going to be 30 years old. He's, presumably he wants to not be on a bad team anymore, and the Wizards don't want to be too good. There's not many teams that are tanking next year, so if the Wizards are positioning themselves to do that, then they would like to not have Bradley Beal, winning a couple games here and there. So if Brad decides, I want to go play in between, Maxey, Beal, PJ Tucker, and Embiid, if he wants to be there and says, that's where I want to go. I don't want to go to New York. Although I do think the Knicks will have an interesting, would be interesting there.
The Knicks are the team that I think
it's totally possible. If he doesn't want to go to Miami and play off of Jimmy or whatever, or I think the Wizards have some play. I would say like percentage wise, Beal is like 70% in charge of where he goes, and the Wizards are like 30%. Because if he just says, I'm only going here, make a trade here, which is what
by the way, they don't have to do that.
Oklahoma City did.
Yeah.
Or Paul George, Oklahoma City did rather. They still got a good haul. They got it all, but like Beal's contract, there's a lot of just factors playing into this. But he's still a really good player. He still is he's going to be 30. And he really does fit in very nicely with what the Sixers are trying to do. I would love the idea of some of his movement shooting on this team, in addition to his on-ball stuff that he's capable of. So, and we can talk about that more once we talk about Doc's criticisms of Harden in that interview. Yep. But it's really interesting. So I would say if you can do it, Tobias and a first. Tobias expiring, especially with the new contract, once the CBA stuff, like Tobias's expiring contract for team is more valuable than it had been considered to be previously. So the fact that they can get off of this and not have to worry about like cap numbers and bullshit would be big in the future for some teams. So I would probably do Tobias a first and a pick swap is probably as far as I would go. I don't know if that's the best offer, but I think it'll all determine on Beal. And I would make sure that I get the 42nd pick in the draft back with Bradley Beal because I need it. I've been saying it a lot. Got to get a second round pick. They have no picks in this draft. I need one. Bring it to me.
So very shortly, we are going first.
Do you want him? Wait.
What? Yes. Well, I mean, okay. I just want to parse it here. I don't know what the other options are. But there's been some stuff out there. Kyle was one of the people that said this, that he was like, nah. And Derek was like, nah. And I don't know what Sixers Adam said. If this is the play, if this is the only play this year, yes. I would like to know a little bit more. I'd like to watch a little bit more. But he's good. And he's been a bit of a motherfucker before, and I'm hoping that at his age, he's just not cooked. There are a lot of players who are not cooked at this age. This is not an age to be cooked. Yeah, I'll give it a shot. Sure.
So a couple weeks ago, a month ago, I listed those 5 Tobias trade possibilities.
You hadn't considered Brad Beal.
Hadn't considered Brad Beal because I don't think they had hired the new front office yet. Which one did you like the most? Did you like Jordan Poole the most? Or did you like the Buddy Hield one the most?
I think it was the Buddy Hield one. And
so
then
there's
maybe
the Jordan Poole one, the Buddy
one.
Hield one, the Hardaway and Bertans one, which is probably the most underwhelming, but maybe the
This
safest.
is better than all of those.
Tobias Korkmaz and a pick for DeRozan and Lonzo, and the Charlotte Rozier and Cody Martin, which you would prefer
This one.
Bradley Beal for. Okay.
Yeah. Would you?
I think he's definitely the best player.
Then that's what you have to do.
All those guys, maybe you could make a case for DeRozan, but I really love Beal's movement shooting and how we can unlock more of that when he's not such the focal point of the offense that he has been for the last 5 years. And DeRozan obviously is not as much that. And I really do believe in Tyrese Maxey a lot. And I just think he's going to figure it out as how to be like, okay, I'm, later into my career, I'm capable of being a more of a point guard. And I think Beal is the kind of guy that can give you some of that. And between Beal, Maxey, and Embiid, you can cobble together what Harden gave you, and you're a more dynamic offense because of it, because of how many tough shot makers are there. And Beal's a 3-level scorer. He's still pretty athletic, although not as athletic as he used to be.
Who is?
So the downsides are like very strong, but I think that you got to keep. I mean, I say this to a team that has been continuously shooting for the moon. Every year, there's a new shot at the moon that the Sixers try to wind up to go for. Whether it was Jimmy and Tobias or Horford and fucking Seth, Josh Richardson, and then Harden, everybody, every iteration of it. Markelle, I would add to that. This is another all-in type move, trading for this contract. But you have Joel Embiid; he's the MVP. You have an improving Maxey. Hopefully, he gets better. You slap a movement shooter that can do some creation in between them, and like that makes sense as a basketball team. Contractually, it scares me for sure, but you're going to have to take some risk if Harden just walks for nothing. And this is the one out of the trades that I listed that gets you the best player, and I think I'm okay with it.
You can talk about Bradley Beal all night. We're still going to listen to Doc Rivers talk. I'm sorry, Mike.
I'm going to start listing Brad Beal's hobbies.
The Rights to Ricky Sanchez is brought to you by Mortgage CS. By the way, we have the Doc Rivers thing coming up in a second. It's going to be great. But I'm trying to frame how to tell a story I heard and communicate the feeling I have after the story when I can't really tell the story about James Harden. After I talk about Mortgage CS. Mortgage CS, love Mortgage CS. You hear about interest rates all the time. Oh, interest rates are going up, yada, yada, yada. You're going to buy a house. There's not a lot of houses on the market. You need a true mortgage partner. You need someone by your side, even when you don't want them there. That is Mortgage CS. Mortgage CS is a mortgage broker. So that means they don't give you the money. They find the money for you. So you go to Mortgage CS, who is independent, who is local, and they go to all the different banks. And first of all, they explain to you the entire process, why the rate is not always the rate, which place is going to be best for you. They're going to find you the best rate. They do the work, you get the mortgage, and their only obligation is to you. A lot of these big mortgage brokers, they have deals with banks, and sometimes their motivations might not be to you, might be to that bank. They may have an extra motivation to send you somewhere, not Mortgage CS. They're there for you anytime, even right now. Call or text Ben, the CEO. I'm going to give you the CEO's phone number right now. Ask him about Bradley Beal, if he wants Bradley Beal. 267-391-7425. Think I'm bullshitting? He will answer you. If you're watching on YouTube right now, 267-391-7425. And be right there for you at all times. Mortgage CS. And at all times is important. If you ever bought a house, you could need a pre-qualification letter at Saturday night, 8:00. They're there for you. Go to mortgagecs.com/Ricky to schedule a consultation, which is a pretty awesome little microsite they built for us, or call or text their CEO, Ben, 267-391-7425. Every Ricky listener who's gone to Mortgage CS has come to us and said, wow, they were everything that you promised. This advertisement is not a commitment to lend or extend credit. Mortgage CS is an equal housing opportunity mortgage broker. All loans are subject to credit approval. Certain restrictions may apply. Company NMLS 1464766. Visit mortgagecs.com/Ricky for more information. All right.
Also, let me just
Oh boy.
Under no circumstances would I trade Tyrese Maxey in a Brad Beal trade.
Oh yeah,
you can't. Just to make
you
that
can't.
clear.
Yeah. So before we get to this Doc stuff, I would like to, and I feel like I've planted my flag pretty firmly here. Under no circumstances can they bring back James Harden. Under no circumstances can they bring back James Harden. They cannot. I was communicated a story from a source that I trust. Mike, CJ, I will tell you the story off the pod. All I can tell you is that players before Game 7 who were very familiar with James Harden were able to see that he was going to have a game like that and were concerned. Like other players on the team knew that he was basically out that game.
7.
I can't have a person like that on my team. I saw what I saw in Game 7, which looked exactly like Game 6 against Miami. He either didn't want to be there, couldn't perform when it was important like that, or wanted to lose. I think we are underselling how atrocious he was in 6 and 7 against Boston and 6 against Miami.
Wanted to lose is tough. I can't get behind wanted to lose.
He didn't want to play for Doc. He didn't want to be there anymore. Like I'm not saying he tried to lose, but I'm saying they can't have him back. Cannot have him back. Can't have him back. That's all I'm going to say. So I want to lead this off. So Doc Rivers was on the Bill Simmons podcast, and we'll get to him on coaching Harden, where he didn't pull punches. I thought there were some things that Doc was basically saying in this podcast, things that we had said that it seemed right. Yeah. But I want to lead off with a little thing about how he fixed the Sixers culture.
With the Sixers culture, that I think is a fair criticism.
What's that?
I read Kyle Newbeck's article in the Philly Voice where he rounded up this up. So I have not listened to this before. And hearing the auspices say them is going to be tough for me.
Yeah, I know.
But I read the article that Kyle happily did for me personally, so I wouldn't have to do this. But you are making me do it.
This is for the listener, this is a watch. This is one of the things that I feel like you got to watch, whether you're on Spotify, YouTube, whatever.
I shouldn't.
With the Sixers culture, that I think is a fair criticism dating back to the process. There's a couple years where it's like, we just got interesting picks. We're thinking outside the box. We're just throwing assets together. It's not about winning. The winning will come later. Are there scars from that? If you approach a franchise like that for 4 years, could you feel the scars coaching the team?
Yeah. I feel it all through the organization. And, Elton, when he brought me in, that's what he told me. Like, hey, this is not just about coaching this team. We're bringing you in here to change the culture. And he meant everywhere. And he allowed me to come in and we looked through the whole organization. I'm talking about trainers, equipment managers, everybody. And, Bill, I think you've been around me enough. If you're not on board, if you're not trying to win, if that's not what you're breathing every day, for me, it's time to go. And I meant that with everybody in the organization. And overall, I thought we were starting to get it done. You could see, the change in the culture. And so I think the growth of that is there. I think they still have some growth in that department as well. Very media alert is the word I'm using. And sometimes you can't worry about that. You just got to do your job. You got to worry about the basketball part of it and not the reaction to when everything happens. But their culture has definitely gotten better. I had a big part in that. And now the growth from there, it still has to get better. And if that happens, then they have a chance. If it doesn't happen, Bill, they're not going to win. Like, it has to keep growing.
Well, the good thing is that Doc saved them after several 50 win seasons and getting to the exact same place in the playoffs that he got, the culture has now been saved from one Doc Rivers. Mike, your thoughts?
This is so... Yeah, I mean, the culture thing and the Doc taking credit for it thing and the fact that they got truly exactly to the same fucking place that they had been in the previous couple years.
Same place.
Same one.
Same place.
Brett, same one.
Yeah. Same place.
That's fine. I accept that.
Oh,
I know that Doc was going to do that, and that's okay. But Bill asking Doc, who came in 4 years after the process or the Sam Hinkie or the losing, whatever, ended because the NBA forced him out, and saying, yeah, there were scars from then. Like, Doc, there's like 3 people in the fucking organization that are still there. It's like Embiid and like 2 hot dog guys. Like, it's nobody. And the owners. Blame the fucking owners. I don't care. It's insane to say. And people continue doing it. There is absolutely no validity to the idea that the 2 years that Embiid missed because his body was broke when the Sixers were bad, with players that haven't been here in so long.
By the way, Embiid has basically never been on a losing team. The only losing team he was on was that first year, and he only played 30 games, and I think they were like 500 in those 30 games.
Yes, and those first 2 seasons, he was like, if you were like, oh, he was around them, or he was on the bench and learned about losing from them, like, Sam Hinkie fucking sent him to Qatar. Like, he was gone. Like, he wasn't around for it. He doesn't know those guys. If you showed him like, hey, here's BJ Mullins, identify this man, he wouldn't be able to because he fucking didn't interact with him. And the idea that there's scars from the organization at large or Joel specifically is so fucking laughable. And anyone making this argument still in 2023 should have their vocal cords removed and their license revoked. It is insane to me. It is absolutely insane to me. The lowest common denominator, first thought bullshit that goes into everybody just patting themselves on the back and agreeing with the idea that a team from 2014 has any impact on today. I simply cannot believe it. As if Joel Embiid is the only player in the world who had to play for not even play, 1 season that he was hurt for, be around a team that was losing, and then has not broken through. There's so many players in the NBA who are very good, who you don't go back and say like, man, Chris Paul's rookie year, is that why he hasn't won a championship? Is it? I got a fucking basketball ball on my head, and I'm asking you fucking idiots if Chris Paul's rookie year, when they were whatever fucking record they were, is why he's not winning a championship today. The fact that it was literally for Joel Embiid 2 seasons where he was hurt, and that is the issue. And that here comes Doc Rivers 4 fucking years later, and he's changing the culture. I am already so mad, and we've barely started the interview. Kyle did not write about this in his article, so I wasn't expecting it.
See? You said Kyle did all the work. You didn't really.
I didn't need to see this. This was unnecessary. This is not of value to anyone.
I mean, Kevin Durant's first year, they probably won, 22 games?
And that's why.
Or the Sonics?
Ever think about that?
Yeah.
I'm going to...
All right.
Oh, my God.
Well, the good thing is he also talked about DeAndre Jordan.
I thought they did a phenomenal job of adding just the right veterans to their basketball team.
Denver?
Jeff Green, even DJ. I'm so happy for him. You know, I'll tell you a quick DeAndre Jordan story. The first time I met him when I took the job, we met at Nobu, right? And I told him, I had a sheet of paper, and I said, this is what you can achieve if you decide to put your mind to it. Forget about offense.
What'd you
Just
write?
forget about it. And I told him, work on your game every day. And I
You wrote work on your game every day on the sheet of paper at Nobu?
I said, you'll get it from the glass from running. Anyway, I said, all defensive team, Olympic team, all NBA team. And then the last one, all-star team. And then the last one was NBA championship. Well, about a week ago, DJ had taken a picture of that and sent it to me. And he was like, I got one check left. And now, so for me
that's
watching
awesome.
him, it's just really cool stuff, man. Like, that's the part that people don't, with coaches, it's just awesome when you have a player that bought into what you were selling them. And then he gets to achieve it. It's cool stuff. It really is.
There was a fourth thing on the list that said dead statue on the Sixers for 1 year. Cross that one off too.
LeBron gets so much, a lot of the time deservedly, for how much he lies. And it's just Doc. It's got to be Doc so much more. It's got to be so much more lying all the time. I really have nothing. I don't know that I have anything against DeAndre Jordan as a human being. People say he's a good teammate, whatever, fine.
Yeah,
but he was so bad with the Sixers. He was so bad. And Doc continued to play him over and over again until assistants or the front office or fucking Franklin the dog had to physically restrain him from playing him and play B-Ball Paul in the playoffs, who was so much better and would have been even better than that had he been allowed to play in the regular season. And he's taking credit for DeAndre Jordan, who just fucking, look at DeAndre Jordan in college. It's not like he was taking threes and step backs and fucking running hook shots. He did the same shit. Screen and roll, catch lobs, block shots. Doc, you don't get credit for everything that everybody does all the time.
DraftKings Sportsbook is the presenting sponsor of the Ricky. I was looking at the futures for next year. Nuggets are the favorite at plus 450. Celtics plus 550. The Lakers at plus 1,200. Sixers sitting there at plus 1,300 for next season at DraftKings Sportsbook. Now, basketball season's over, but baseball going now, and you could be winning every inning with the hottest offers in the game, DraftKings Sportsbook. If you're a new customer, use code RTRS. Bet just $5 to score $150 in bonus bets instantly. And stepped up same game parlays. Here's what you do. Open the app. Go... Wait, how do you do same game? Stepped up same game parlays. Right. You open the app, opt in to the stepped up same game parlay, place your parlay. You have to do 3 or more bets from the same game. And then every additional leg you boost up to 100% the stepped up same game parlay at DraftKings Sportsbook. Step up to the plate now with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app and use code RTRS. New customers can bet just $5 to score $150 in bonus bets instantly only at DraftKings Sportsbook with promo code RTRS. Got to be 21 or older. See show notes for details. All right. Now,
one quick thing just to break it up, because I gotta fucking take a breath or something. Yeah. My cousin Darcy was just on a flight with Tobias Harris and his wife.
Where were they going?
From Milan back to New York.
DC. Oh.
To DC. My cousin has handcuffed Tobias and is dragging him to DC right now. I told her to talk to him. I sent her a picture of him on the podcast, smiling. But she said he didn't. But she did say he was wearing regular Apple headphones.
Oh, wired ones.
Yeah.
Andrew Sharp is a wired devotee. Will not wear.
I mean, we're wearing them now for this, but on a plane, I find that interesting. So that's a good boots on the ground update from my cousin.
Okay, so here are the more prescient things. So here was Doc on coaching James Harden.
Did you like coaching him? Was it okay? Like, how would you rate the experience?
It was challenging, more because we were fighting two things, and not like visually fighting, is that James is so good at playing one way. The way that I believe you have to play to win in some ways is different, because it's a lot of giving up the ball, moving the ball, coming back to the ball. I would have loved to have him younger when that was easier for him, because giving up the ball and getting back the ball is hard. Like, it's physical, it's exhausting. So it'd been interesting if I had him younger, where he could have done that more, coming off of dribble handoffs, going down the hill. You know, he didn't finish as well as he finished because he's older, and that happens. So yeah, at times, to get him to move it and play the way I needed him to play, I thought the first half of the year, I thought we were the best team in the game. I thought James was playing perfect basketball. Like,
I agree with you.
He was a point guard of the team. He was still scoring, but he was doing more playmaking and scoring. And then the second half, he started scoring more, trying to score more. And I thought we got stagnant at times. So I thought we changed.
Yeah, so the last part is obviously a lie. Like, unless Kyle made this point also, but the first half of the season, the second half of the season, he wasn't trying to. There's never a time when Harden was trying to score more, aside from in the playoffs when Embiid wasn't there. So that is just categorically incorrect. And Harden played a great regular season, and did do exactly what we know he did and talked about all season long. Ran great pick and roll with Embiid. Got the ball to a lot of shooters open. Couldn't get by people. Couldn't finish. Like, that's what we're saying all the time. So I have no issue with. I think it's a little strange that Doc is. This is like
that.
This is like a version of trashing him. Like, this is pretty
for sure.
close to it.
Yeah.
And there were reports. Maybe Doc is upset at the reports after the season that Harden didn't want to play for him anymore. And this is him getting back at him. I don't know what the mentality is there, but yeah, Harden hasn't moved off the ball in many, many years at all.
I wish I had him when he was younger. Was like
younger is interesting. How young? Because he didn't do that in Houston. It's got to be like Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
And it's just funny. Like, I wish I would have had. Like, Doc has such a confidence in himself as a coach that, like, he could do anything. I could get anybody to do anything. And yeah, I mean, he's not wrong about Harden. We were talking about it all season long, before they got him. Like, he just doesn't move off ball. He did take more catch and shoot threes this year, which was I think helpful. But a guy that doesn't move off ball a lot, and that's why Beal appeals to me as much as he does, because he can do some smallish, medium percentage of the Harden stuff on ball, but a lot more off ball, and giving more responsibility to Maxey and Embiid and stuff.
So here's Doc on how Joel Embiid can improve. And I thought this was pretty honest too.
What has to happen for Joel, in your opinion, for him to get to the point that Jokic got to tonight? What's missing?
Number one, he has to be healthy in the playoffs, and this was the healthiest, but he still wasn't 100%. Then number two for Joe, then the second thing is Joe, and he has the ability, Bill. Now, I stayed on him daily. He has the ability to make his teammates better. And when he does that, and you look at our games this year, when he did that and dominated, hard to go away from Joel Embiid. It really is. He's just got to do that on a consistent basis, not just on the court, but also off the court. Just be around your guys and spend time with your guys and let them know that you love them, because they loved you.
It's not the first time we've heard about Embiid not really hanging out with people outside of the game. And no one says they have to be best friends, but they do spend a lot of time together. A pro sports team does. And when you're the best player on the team, I don't know. I do think it is important, to make the health thing, and he spoke longer about the health thing, which I cut out of there, but I think we all agree. But the leadership thing, which I think he's getting at there with making the teammates better, both on the court and off, I think is important. I just don't know if it's in him.
Yeah. I mean, I think that over the last couple of years, you have heard, since Ben left, really, you've heard him that has happened.
What has to happen?
And maybe it's not like improved to the point that, I don't know if Jokic is hosting fucking like dinner parties and shit. Like,
well, he certainly makes his teammates better on the court.
Yeah, but that's because of his skill set and stuff.
Yeah.
So, of course, I've been pitching a wine trip to Napa. Doc tried to do it with the South Carolina training camp thing.
Ended up just playing golf.
Yeah. Oh fuck, you guys are coming too? Oh shit, it is training camp. God. Oh damn.
Bad
I overbooked.
timing, I guess.
Okay, training camp's here now. But yeah, I mean, I want that. I think Maxey was saying like you could tell the difference that Joel has taken from a leadership standpoint year to year, whatever. People say nice things, but yeah, I would like it if Joel did that, but it's sort of, I don't know, it's not like Kawhi is doing that. Like, I think people overrate that stuff. I think if I like it and care about it and want it to happen, there's no reason for it to not happen, but I would say, hey, why hasn't Joel Embiid been successful? Oh, it's because like he doesn't like host his teammates for like parties or like go on like a spa vacation with them. Like that's like reason number like 93.
No,
of like
but
why it hasn't worked.
I think it's about more than that though. I like that. I don't know. Yes, Kawhi isn't doing it, but it's not like Kawhi has had a bunch of disconnected teams over the last several years too, you know? And he walked into a team that was very connected, by the way. Like that Raptors team had played together for a while. So I don't know. I don't know. I thought it was interesting that he said it.
I certainly don't think it can hurt, but I do think it's a little bit part of a narrative that is easy to say. It's easier to talk about that than it is to talk about like specific basketball reasons. And also, you might not be aware of this. Let's Doc off the hook once again.
Well, I don't think it's Doc.
Embiid didn't kiss any of his teammates on the mouth, and I was telling him that he had to do it. I was telling him he should. Saying, let's go golfing, all of us.
He is right about on court, though. He is right about on court.
Oh, yeah. On that's a different situation to me. On court, like, there is times when Embiid, like, very clearly is upset at his teammates or, like, maybe if there is, like, a togetherness factor on court that gets you to, like, you know, gut shit out. And in the Tatum run in Game 7, in the third quarter of Game 7, like, had they had, you know, the team-wide fortitude to like stop that run, then things would have been better. But I don't know that that's solved by like Embiid hosting poker nights once a week.
I think you dumb it down in a way that I don't think Doc was dumbing it down, though. Not to defend Doc.
What do you think he means? Well,
I just think it's about more than I think sometimes when you're on the flight and everybody's playing cards and you're in the back watching a movie on your iPad. I just think I don't think they change everything, but like, I think it's all, it's nice if it happens.
Yeah. I agree that it's nice if it happens. Absolutely. And would I like it to happen? Absolutely. I've been saying wine trip to Napa for many years on this podcast. So I absolutely believe in there being some value to it. I just think it is well behind other stuff. And for Doc to say, oh, he's got to be healthy.
On and off. He said on and off court. In fact.
Yeah. But also I'm saying he's got to be healthy, first of all.
Yeah.
Yes. But also in this interview, and I'm not sure if you're skipping around it, what Kyle brought up is Doc was like, yeah, I told him he's got to play every game. Joe, you're healthy enough to play. Like, and I don't believe that happened, but he's also saying like, you got to play more regular season games, Joe. And it's like, hey bud, that's contributing to the not being healthy in the playoffs if you play him too much in the regular season and that kind of thing. So, you know, the benefit of Doc not being a coach anymore, a head coach, although he should, you know, disappear into the wilderness for several more months. He didn't get a job as of like a week ago. So like, why are you doing this podcast now? But like, he has even less responsibility. He will be held even to less account now that he doesn't have a job. So that's good for him. And he can just say whatever the fuck he wants.
Bill asked him about the perfect player to pair with Embiid and Maxey.
So, all right, let's say you have Embiid, you have Maxey. Who's the perfect third guy? If it was a fantasy league, you don't have to say the exact player, but
well, you said if you don't have James,
let's take James out of it, and you're replacing James with a different type of player. Because Embiid's had all these different teammates, right? And really, Jimmy, I thought, was the one that probably clicked with him the best. Embiid was bad in that Toronto series, but Jimmy was that type. Is it that type of guy you would want with Embiid?
Yeah, you would want a guy, and I think James did a little bit of that. Like James would speak up, and so you need that. You need another alpha in the room So if Joe is not doing something, to call Joe on, Joe, you got to do this, and Joe will listen to that.
What about
really
offensively though? What is the offensive
If I
fit?
could pick the perfect guy without a name, it would be a big point guard who could score. And the reason is we need a playmaker other than Joel. And then Maxey right now is more of a scorer. He's a downhill scorer with speed. Maybe the dude brings joy to every coach in the room. You would love Tyrese Maxey. Just every day being Tyrese Maxey. But when we can free him up to just go score and be you can make a case like a Ginobili, who at times was their point, with his passing, gave them toughness, was an attacker, was great off the ball, but that allowed Tony Parker to just go and be free. Like someone in that category would be the perfect fit.
How tall is Tyrese Halliburton?
6'4", 6'5".
Okay. He does sort of hint at Maxey being 6-man type, by the way, which I think is...
That's the thing. That's the thing with Doc that has always... Obviously, almost everything about Doc pisses me off.
Yeah.
But he just talks about basketball. The way that he talks about basketball makes it seem like he is only casually interested in basketball. He is having, he's coached for so long. He was in the NBA. Ostensibly, he's a very smart, he has to be, very smart basketball mind. But the way he talks about it is just dumb narrative bullshit that he got off of TV.
No. What did he say there that was
He needs a guy that can just tell him what to do and get in there. And we just need a big point guard that can score. So Maxey can just go be free. He's not saying any specifics in any way of that you would think a guy that has spent his whole life really, but 40 years professionally in basketball would be able to say. And so what I don't know is he doing that because okay, I'm talking to normals like Bill Simmons and the listeners of that podcast, whatever, or because that's the way he talks to the team also. Everything is just, I don't think that Doc has learned a new thing since 2006. And it's just he's just regurgitating the same things that he's always said. And he doesn't have any more original thoughts. He's out. He's all out of them. And I don't disagree that Ginobili is an interesting kind of player that you can put in there. I think him and Beal are not the same kind of player, but if you overall, if you squint, it's that kind of a player, which is interesting.
I got the sense that he was comparing Maxey to Ginobili.
Oh, I thought he was saying No, he was saying so Tony Parker can just go be free, and he was talking about Maxey just goes need to be free. I'm pretty sure he was saying it as a Ginobili would fit in there nicely. Anyway, I don't disagree with that as being interesting, but it's just the way he talks about it is just so, I don't know. You would think that someone that spends that much time talking about basketball would have more interesting things to say than, Wally Zerbiak. Although also has been in the league for that long. It's just, I don't know. The way that people talk about basketball, even if they've been around it, is never as smart as I think it should be. Because they should be way smarter than people that haven't played that much basketball, haven't coached that much basketball. And he's coached every fucking year of his adult life because he can't stop. And he was forced to stop by the league telling him nobody wants you right now. Please go away. And he signs up for Bill Simmons' podcast days later. I've always wanted him to have a more thoughtful basketball answer. Not just this guy's the alpha and that guy's got to be the alpha and this guy's beta and that guy's got to learn to be better in love with his teammates. And
but isn't he saying the same thing we did about Embiid needing somebody who is...
Yeah, but I didn't work in the NBA for 40 years.
Yeah, but maybe
I'm not a coach. I'm not as smart. I'm not as smart. He should be smarter than me, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, but
I'm hearing just the normal shit that national fucking TV or whatever guys say.
Don't you think though that sometimes it's just that simple? Maybe or no?
No. I don't think it should be. And I think that's why having a coach like Nick Nurse is not the only kind of guy, but it's like having someone that is more willing to take an edge and get the Sixers some better.
Well, that I don't disagree with.
Like finding a smarter way to do it, like Tyronn Lue, same thing. Like there's stuff that they're trying, and Doc is just like, go be alpha.
Well, but I hate that I'm defending Doc. The only thing I would say is that what he's saying to Bill, as you insinuated, this doesn't necessarily mean that's how he operates.
I agree, but you would think once in a while, more often, some actual insightful basketball analysis would sneak in there sometimes, and it almost never does. Maybe he's just well trained to just like say vague lowest common denominator stuff to the press, but you would expect once in a while he would have like an interesting thought, and he just never does.
So before we go, I mean, we're going to have to push the assistant coach stuff to the next pod. I mean,
I got interesting stuff to say.
Well, next pod we'll get
long off season.
There's only two things I wanted to bring up because I didn't want to miss this hard to stomach YouTube comment on the week because it made me laugh out loud. Came from St. Christian Aldrin. Young Rock has been canceled. So sad for Mike. Hope the marriage is working out well.
Interesting to
I'm trying
squish those
to
two
read
together.
The tone of it, is it just like, well, it sucks about the show. Well, I hope the marriage is working out well. Or is he insinuating because of the show?
Now it's over. Yeah. No, marriage is good. Way better than the show being canceled for sure. Yeah. Alyssa's team, by the way, last night improved to 8-1.
Well, your team.
My team. Yeah. My team that I coach, Alyssa, and her team. There was a former, so the point guard's fiance videotapes the game on her phone.
Okay.
I don't want to say videotape like I'm fucking 1986. And she's like, the guy sitting in front of me plays professional basketball and she doesn't know anything about it. I'm like, send me the tape. And so I'm looking at this guy. I recognize him. I can't quite place him. I was like, this guy played college basketball. I don't think he played in the NBA, but he played like high level college basketball. And I remember him, but I can't place the name. I sent it to who else but young Jake Pavorsky.
Okay.
I was like, this guy had to play in TBT or something. I said, Jake, who is this guy? And he said, within seconds, he said, Trent Lockett, who played 3 years at Arizona State and then transferred to Marquette, where he played with Process Sixer and Team WAP member Vander Blue.
Oh my God.
Jake got it right away. I love and appreciate him. So Trent Lockett scouting me as a coach or Alyssa as a player seemed to be pretty impressed. We are 8-1. We're in sole possession of first place. One more game left, and then playoffs. And so, because if you remember the 4-on-5 story, Spike,
yes,
we had to play. We won the Final Four, and then had to play the championship right after. If we get the 1 seed, which looks like we will play the 7:00 game and then have a break, and then the other team who wins that game will then have the back-to-back games. So we'll have a little break off, and they'll have to.
How many more games until you just figure out what seed you have?
One game, and we're playing the worst team in the league. So it's odds are we're the 1 seed, which is good. So playoffs in 2 weeks from yesterday.
And the last thing I want to play, CJ, if you could bring up the Locked On Nuggets thing. So Locked On Nuggets is hosted by Matt Moore, and Adam Morris, Adam of DNVR, who I enjoy, like Adam. Matt seems like a good guy. A lot of time on Twitter.
Lot of time on Twitter.
Yeah. Here was the clip from Locked On Nuggets. Congratulations to the Nuggets, their fans, Adam, all those people. So go ahead.
I'll never be this ready again.
Because
I'll never be this ready again.
I mean, one way to say it is you could say that we were right, y'all. We were right. Even when things went wrong.
That's right.
We were right.
That's right.
We were right, y'all.
Try to tell you.
We were right.
Try to tell you.
Even when things went wrong. We were right.
I'll never.
So there you go. It's Matt Moore. Matt Moore.
Look, you win a championship, you get to talk shit.
Well, let me just posit here, though, that Matt, if you want to be a Nuggets fan, that's fine. There's room on the internet for biased fans like us. We are biased fans.
Sure.
But when you are a big fan of the Nuggets and you are super happy with it when they win, then you go on the internet and you pretend you're the basketball, I'm just asking questions ombudsman. That does not work. Those two things don't fly together. So if you want to be a Nuggets fan now that they won and you want to out yourself as a pure Nuggets fan, that is fine. I'm glad you listen to the pod, but you can't be both.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. Like, it's cool that the Nuggets won. I love that they won their first title. I think that rules. Jokic is incredible. They have a team of guys that I really love. I love Bruce Brown. I've loved him for so long. Happy for Jeff Green. Jamal Murray gotten so much better over the last few years. Christian Brown contributing. Ish Smith, process Sixer. Ish Smith. I guess all the losing with the Sixers didn't prevent Ish Smith from becoming an NBA champion. Did it Bill or Doc? Happy that
teams.
I obviously like a lot of guys on Miami, but happy generally that Heat culture didn't win a championship.
5 of 18 for Jimmy Butler in the closeout game. 5 of 18.
But yeah, I don't know how I would react if the Sixers won a championship, and I likely never will because we're destined to fail over and over again in creatively painful ways. But it is kind of bizarre to me that people that are Jokic fans, and I again think he's incredible and obviously has raised his game to another
CJ,
level in the playoffs.
Is this me?
What's
What
that?
is this? You're freezing a lot on my end. I don't know if it's me or if it's just me. Just me. All right, Mike. Just talk. Sorry, buddy.
Okay.
That was me.
But if I don't understand why like very pro Jokic fans would go like, and it was bullshit that Jokic didn't win regular season MVP. And it's like, dude, he won 2 MVPs in a row.
And by the way, he lost in the first round after he won the second MVP. Like,
It's a regular season award.
Yeah.
And you already got the MVPs, and then you won a championship, and he's the Finals MVP, and that's obviously so much more important than winning a third straight MVP or Embiid winning his first. Like, people that are going after like, and we were right about the regular season award that happened like a month or two ago, I find to be pretty bizarre. But again, I don't know what it's like to win a championship, and maybe I would just be doing weird retribution left and right,
Mike,
about random stuff like that. I don't know. But
if the Sixers won the championship, there would be no worse listen than this podcast. Like the amount of things that we would say that we were right about in history, the long list of things that we would come collecting on would be a very long list.
He is frozen there for me.
He
now.
is frozen.
Wasn't before. Now it is.
Look at him. Look at him, CJ.
His computer restarted.
Well, should we wait for him?
He did say, "Give me a sec." So, got a good comment in the chat from Alex.
Oh, wow! All right, you know what, CJ, $50 raise.
Sounds good to me.
Done. CJ
Thank you.
gets a raise. Anyone else? Anyone else have any requests for anything? No more CJ raises.
Thanks, Alex. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
You literally said the words, "If the Sixers won the championship," and my computer just shut down. I swear to God, on that, if the Sixers won a championship, black, gone, totally restarted. I touched nothing, and it just went away. So I think that says it all there.
What I said was, if the Sixers won, that you were like, maybe we'd be insufferable if the Sixers won.
Oh, no. We'd be insufferable. I'm not saying that.
Yeah,
but it's weird to go back and forth and go like, hey, the thing that happened before when he's already won 2 of those, and then this is a different thing that I'm going to go back to like tell them like I don't know. Jokic is right now the best player in the league and deserves to be. Like, he won a championship. He's fucking incredible.
I would say though, done hearing about it. done. Make him pretend that I think it's funny that he doesn't want to stick around for the parade. Done.
Yeah. I find not caring to be bizarre. I find it very Gen X in a strange way. I don't understand it.
I loved. Yeah.
Yeah, but it seems very like nothing
Yeah.
matters. Who fucking
Yeah.
cares? I don't know. What's the deal? Like we should. I don't know. You're training
was
your
like-
whole life for this thing. Like you spend a lot of your time doing it. You should probably care some.
It was very Jimmy Butler. Jimmy was like, if I made
Both
the Hall
of
of
them. It's
Fame,
very odd. But at least, and they both play like they care, obviously. But I don't know why the obsession has been like, I don't even fucking. Let me get this cigarette out during this interview and tell you how little I care.
Well, Mike, what you didn't know is when your computer went out, someone in the chat said that Mike said that CJ should get a raise, and I gave CJ a $50 per month raise because somebody in the chat asked.
There you go.
There you go.
Huge
Congratulations,
bonus.
CJ, on your raise.
CJ
right
now
here.
making $51 a month. Pretty big. Pretty big.
All right. Well, so Sharp is going to come on and talk about Beal this weekend, Saturday morning. So get a little Sharp. It's been a while. Off season's here, so we'll have Sharp on of Sharp Tech, Sharp China, greatest of all talk. Lots of Sharp stuff. So we'll talk to you this weekend. Are you down with TTP?
Yeah. Oh, lick face.